Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your interest in webinar 2 on bridges. The last webinar, series of webinars on the second generation of Eurocode 8, organized by the European Association of Earthquake Engineering through its working group 12. My name is Rita Bento. So for today's webinar, the coordinators are Professor Franchin, the leader of the PT6 of the submission 8 from structural Eurocodes, and Professor Kappos, the Secretary General of European Association of Earthquake Engineering. All webinars have been recorded and are available to everyone, so anyone interested can access the webinar remotely from the website very easily. Just click in this icon, and just below the icon you have access. In the open view, you have the access to the PDF presentation of all the speakers. Despite the very specific topic of this webinar, we had over 400 registrations. So as expected, most of them from Europe, but you have a lot of registrations from outside Europe as well. And before to introduce the shares of this webinar, I'd like to invite Professor Kappos, the Secretary General of the European Association of Earthquake Engineering, to share with us some words.
Okay, thank you very much, Rita. It's really an important moment. When the whole thing started about, when the idea was coined something like 2 years ago, I was concerned. I said, isn't it too ambitious? Will we be able to deliver webinars for all parts of Eurocode 8? What will be the response of the audience and so on? Well, dear colleagues and friends, I think everything went much better than I hoped. Okay, so I really believe that congratulations are in order for the excellent group led by Rita Bento, which is one of the working groups, working group 12, if I remember correctly, of the European Association dealing with educational and dissemination issues. And I'm sure that as soon as the documents become available to the public, which will not be very long, I think in a couple of years, we will have the documents available to everybody. The voting will finish, so the documents will become available, and we will have some kind of intermediate period for preliminary application of the documents. So at that time, I'm sure that we should repeat this this webinar, most probably again in the same form, notwithstanding the situation with pandemics or other problems, because this allows us also very much to record everything, and everything is available. I should confess that there are already at least a couple of occasions when I went back to some of the videos and or some of the presentations to check some things that I wanted to check. So today's webinar is one, of course, very important, and it is on something that, if I'm allowed a personal note, is very much within my interest. People, I remember, were asking me, why didn't you, join this group and so on. But I was really very tired after leading part 3, which was also a very demanding one. I was perhaps a little bit concerned at the beginning, but it was a dream team, a real dream team led by Paolo, Franchin, and each of them were real experts in what they are doing. And I think this will show from the presentations as well. So without any further delay, let me thank again all the today's speakers, but also all the speakers that have contributed to this fantastic series of webinars, and of course Rita's team for organizing this. Thank you very much.
Just to finish the open session, I'd like to introduce the chairs of this session, both members of the Working Group 12 out of the European Association of Earthquake Engineering. So it's Professor Butenberg from the Icahn University of Applied Science in Germany, and Professor Kober from Technical University of Bucharest, Romanian. So thank you both for having accepted to share this last webinar. So, and with this, we close the session and we start immediately with the presentations. Thank you.
Okay, so I would like to welcome you to the second webinar on bridges. As Rita mentioned, my name is Christoph Rudenweg from Germany, and it is really a pleasure for me to guide you through the program today, together with my colleague, Ms. Köber from the Technical University in Bucharest. So this webinar is organized by Paolo Franchin and Andreas Kappos, as already mentioned. And I think this webinar is a really important webinar, as bridges are quite important for the society as components of the critical infrastructure because of the functionality after earthquake events. It's required to have these vital routes for emergency response and to provide access to affected areas and to evacuate people. So this is quite important, and today's webinar is consists of 5 presentations from leading experts all over Europe, and each presentation is 25 minutes, followed by 5 minutes for questions. And just to give you some information about the questions, so it is possible to ask questions via the chat. Please type in your questions and give us your identification, so your name and affiliation. And these questions will be forwarded to the speaker and will be answered directly or, depending on the number of questions, by the speakers via after the presentations.